crypto fintech eco just raised $60 million. These are the folks that we covered last time because like Kevin Durant and like P. Diddy invested in them in their seed round, and now they're raising some more money because they're finding a little bit of success with this whole high yield USDC account thing. So they got some more money. This is one of those projects that takes a crypto back end, pretty much makes it normal on the front end, and they seem to be having some success with that, at least in the early innings. I'm going to toss this to you, Will. I see you nodding vigorously. What's your take on Eco taking on some more cash with this whole stablecoin savings thing they do?
So I don't know about this project specifically. I like the idea of people being able to interact with DeFi, even though they don't know they're interacting with it. And of course, getting a yield just simply is really nice right now. But in general, I'm wondering what everyone thinks about all these crazy values and offerings going around. I think Fireblocks just closed something this morning also, and then we could see FTX the other week with that almost $1 billion raise. Coin prices went up this week, but they've been crab walking, or at least down, for like the last 6-8 weeks. So like, why? I feel like at some point, I think we talked about this last week, at some point it's got to dry up. Like the valuations have to go down. This also comes after Sushi Swap, which is another like exchange, tried to put out like this VC funding round where they were like offering the tokens at a pretty high valuation for VCs themselves. And they got some flack for that. And there was some feedback, and I don't know where that project ended up. But Zach, I want to get your thoughts. Why are projects getting so much money when we're so uncertain if this is the end of the bull market and the beginning of a bear, or just another leg up?
Yeah, it's a really great point, and you're right. We've just been getting some absurd valuations. Like Fireblocks raised $310 million in a Series D that valued it at $2 billion, and now since FTX is like an $18 billion company, according to its last $900 million funding round, we're just like, yeah, no big deal. We're not even going to talk about it on this show today. So the fact that these numbers are getting really, really high, I think it's sort of like the tail end of investors realizing some very large gains from the past however many months in the crypto markets, and we're sort of starting to see these announcements, so these raises that have been put together, possibly during peak mania. We're seeing those being announced now. And I think investors are keen to sort of frame this as, hey, we think that this has long-term traction. We think we're here for the long term, and crypto really is going to be transformative to how people interact with their money. And that's the company line that you're getting from sort of the VC industrial complex right now. But it's going to be really interesting to see if these big numbers stay up, or if they're just merely an aberration. So I don't know, but I'm curious for Naomi's take on that, actually.
Yeah, I just want to kind of continue on with what you were saying, Zach, and what you were saying as well, Will, when you're like, is this the beginning of a bull market? Is this the end of where does the bear market end? And Zach's absolutely right. Like, I think that it's becoming less and less significant when these bull and bear markets are, because long-term, clearly people are seeing the future of cryptocurrency and pouring all their money into it. Like in the early days, when you had a bear market, you were like, is this ever going to rise again? Like, the first time it crashes, you're like, okay, that's the end. And this is just, reinforced with all of the obituaries that will come out about Bitcoin. Every single time there's a drop, you'd have all of these articles out saying that's the end of this magical internet money. And then you have another bull market, and then you have another bear market, more obituaries. And the more you have these things and you just see a steady, long-term growth pattern, I think people are starting to realize, it really doesn't matter the short-term ups and downs, because long-term, everyone's pouring their money into this space. You just have huge investment. And that should be really where we're focused on, rather than, day-to-day fluctuations. But Jen, I think I saw your hand up as well.
Yeah, I'm surprised that more VCs aren't getting cold feet with all of this, with all of the regulation that's happening, and all of the kind of like regulatory uncertainty. I want to read a quote from the article. So Eco said that they're watching BlockFi closely, and they said that they're going to make sure that whatever we're doing is in alignment with the latest understanding of every regulation that exists, which is interesting to me because the regulation is not very clear. So I don't understand how they're going to make sure that they are in compliance. And if it was so easy, everyone would do it. So yeah, it's interesting to me that VC money is still pouring into these companies, given that that we're not sure what's going to happen with regulation. But Ben, I think I saw your hand up.
Yeah, I mean, I think these have to even out at some point. I don't think these numbers can really continue to go up to the extent that they have been in just like the last even 6 months, it feels like. I do think that we're going to have some of these projects at some point, like take a downturn in the ways that tech projects start up and kind of close down all the time. But I think that might help in terms of resetting the market around some of these things. And I'm kind of waiting on that shoe to drop, because the optimism and the sort of this kind of only number go up narrative that we've been seeing, I just don't think it can be sustainable. And particularly, I think that what we're seeing is maybe a shift from more, it does right now, but I think that maybe what we're going to see is this playing field, which is still pretty,
US dollars going down,
which is still fairly new and nascent, as people are still trying to pick winners. And where in more traditional tech spaces, we see like Amazon, Facebook, like Netflix, like those winners are already there. Like those markets are a little bit more settled than these. So it could be more speculative and ambitious than anything else, as kind of my initial thoughts there.
And last quick thought before I throw it to Jen. I mean, it's also easier than ever to go public, right? You have companies that don't even have a functioning product, bullish, who are going public in a mega SPAC deal, right? So if my exit as an investor is, if my exit to the public markets as an investor is closer than it ever has been, because there's all these vehicles to do that, then maybe it makes sense that I would dump in a bunch of money into some of these companies that are still quite nascent.